Page Shin Yud Ches.
Shin Yud.
One second.
Shin Yud Ches.
What's the big with you second? Yud Ches, right?
Yeah.
Got it.
Since we're still, the oilam is still going on the trips.
Kuf Yud is on Kuf
Simin Kuf Yud.
Yud.
We'll look at the inyan of Tefillah when one is traveling, how one is supposed to daven. And as well, later on we'll move into the inyan of Tefilas haDerech. Sif Aleph.
Yes.
B'shas haDerech, she'efshel v'spal shmoneh brachos. B'shas haDerech is someone cannot daven 18 brachos, the whole shmoneh. Going, for example, Shashoy Veres, the time is going and he doesn't have time, he's gonna lose the time, it's gonna become after the Zman Tefillah. Or Yishu b'derech, where he's on the road, v'yori, and he's afraid Shem yafseku oivid drachim, that people are going to stop him in the middle of his davening. Imispalo kol shmoneh brachos derech chiluchei, or miyusha milad. If he's going to daven the entire shmoneh, whether he's standing whether he's sitting on a wagon, whether he's standing, but if or he's standing in a place, he's not traveling in a wagon, but he's on the side, but he's in a place where he's afraid he can't daven properly. People are constantly coming by and they mafsik him, asking questions, different things. Or is in a situation or he's in a situation where he finds himself that he can't daven a long davening because he has a lot of tears bothering on his mind and he can't concentrate on Shemona Esrei. And he's mispalo me'ein Shemona Esrei. He doesn't daven an entire Yud Ches brachos. He's mispalo what's called me'ein Shemona Esrei, a short version of Shemona Esrei. Shehu, which is Tefilas Havinenu. It's the Tefillah of Havinenu.
They have it in the
Where
city?
did you get this? Where did you get this bridge for?
I don't think they have it in the city.
Where did you get this from?
So the nusach for it,
Havinenu.
I see the Alter Rebbe does not bring the actual nusach, but the Rambam brings the nusach.
What does that mean? What does it constitute?
Let's read a word and then we'll look it up in the Rambam. Shekelelis.
It's a short tefillah.
It includes very short tefillah. Shekelelis includes in very short form. Kol Yud Gimel brachas and tzoyis. All the 13 middle brachas, the intermediate brachas. There's the 3 in the beginning, 3 at the ending, and there are 13 in the middle. 19 altogether because V'lam al Shinim was out later. We still call it Shemona Esrei, but really it's not 18.
It's really
19. And one finishes off with Baruch Atah Hashem Shemei Tefillah, which is a general thing. Hashem hears our tefillas. It's not about any specific bracha because you're not trying to say a specific bracha. You're trying to be called all the brachas. You say Baruch Atah Hashem Shemei Tefillah, and that is the middle bracha. That is instead of the 13 middle brachas. And before it, you have to say before it, you say the Gimel brachas Rishayis. You do the normal 3 brachas in the beginning of Bakin Avram, Atagiver, Mechai Mason, and as well the 3 last brachas. Right? You say as usual. It's just the middle brachas you condense into one short version, which combines a little bit of each one of them.
I think El Al has to give all the people that davening. She has to make for each plan 50 or this Shmoneh, and to give it them. Because it's not comfortable to daven there and people.
Where?
In El Al when you fly.
Yeah.
We daven all the way in the corner.
Yeah.
You're bothering people.
Yeah.
And you can't kavana. So I think we have to daven this.
Right.
So I think if I'll make 50 for each plan.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah, I have to speak to them.
This is the bracha, the Rambam says. Havineinu Hashem Elokeinu ladas drechecha. Hashem, give us understanding to understand your ways. That's the Atochein L'Adam Das, the Dinim of Das.
Right, have you name? Yeah.
What's the next bracha? Hasireinu Shuva Shleim Mefanecha, right? Shuva. Moil Eslavavenu Liyosecha. Circumcise our hearts to fear you. It's the Dinim of Shuva. L'Seileach Hayelanu. You should be pardon us. So that's the Dinim of Slach Lana. We do that in 3 words. Liyes Geulim. We should be redeemed. In 2 words, we do Gal Yisrael. Rechaktu mimachoiv is the Indian, take us away from anything that hurts us. V'dashananu v'shachanu bin ois artzecha. You should let us rest in the best part of your land, which is Baruch Aleinu, blessing for the land. Nefutzim me'arbat hakabetz, those that are in 4 corners, you should gather together. That's the Kabbah Shofar Gadol. Hatoyim b'daitecha yishpoitu, those that are lost, you should judge them with your mind. The Indian of Melech Oyev Tzedakah Mishpah. V'lamashinim is in Havineinu v'al Rishayim tanaf yadecha, and on Rishayim you should wave your hand. V'yismu tzadikim mimin yadecha u'v'tikun heichalecha. Tzadikim should be rejoice in the building of your city, and the fixing of your heichal, Beis Hamikdash, which that's the Indian of Yishalayim Ircha, bracha for Yishalayim. V'hatzmachas keren l'davar adecha u'arichas nerav yisha mishechecha is a long one actually. We added a few extra words, all for the pasuk, the bracha of Semach davar avtcha, the Indian of davening for Mashiach. Terem Nike v'ata sana, terem nadava ata shemeya. We finish off in Yanim that have to do with Hashem. You listen to us before we speak. Atuhu aina be'isol hot tzara pei dematzim hot sukkah. It's all in Yanim that have to do with Shemei Tefillah. You listen to us at all times at tzaris. You redeem us and save us from our distress. Baruch ata Hashem Shemei Tefillah. That is the Musach of Havineinu, which is to be said with the 3 brachas before, the 3 brachas before and the 3 after. That's the Havineinu. Now,
which halacha is that in Rambam?
Parak Beis, halacha Beis, Beis, and then Hilchos Tefillah. Tzarech l'oimen kulam u'umed. One needs to say all of these 6 brachas standing.
It's in the wagon, right?
You cannot allow the person to say it while he's traveling in the wagon. As we were matter in Tefillah Shemana Esrei, by Shemana Esrei, we allow you to say it while you're traveling, because you shouldn't. If you feel that you're going to have to wait on the side, you're going to be concerned about missing the group and about.
It's a Libra beat.
So you're not going to have kavanah. So therefore, better to say it on the way.
So
but over here, Avineinu is not so. Avineinu, you can't do it that way, because Avineinu is a short tefillah. So we demand of you to stop on the side. Similar to the 18. It's not such a tirda, a disturbance to go out, to stand and say the tefillah of Avineinu. If one comes to one's house, so does one need to go now and say the proper Shemana Esrei? No. In Tzarech lachzos payiches, we do not have to go back and say again Shemana Esrei. Since you said Havineinu, you don't need to repeat it, even though now it's peaceful. You have the time, you're able to daven the proper Shemana Esrei, you don't have a chiyuv to do it again. You did Havineinu.
So how in the plane or in the bus with davening standing Shemona Esrei?
They sit in the bus.
Huh?
They tell me they sit on the bus when it goes from Muncie to New York.
The seat is Shemona Esrei?
Yeah.
You're allowed to do Shemana Esrei, just Havineinu you're not allowed. Shemana Esrei you could, because we say, if we tell you that you're going to have to get off the bus, and we tell you you're going to have to go to a proper place to daven, you're going to have even more not have kavanah, because your whole trip is disturbed. So Shemon Esrei, we allow you to do it that way. Havinenu, which is a short one, we don't. That's short, so you can go on the.
You stand up.
Yeah, and go on the side.
I never saw printed anywhere. I never saw such a new stuff.
Because Lamaisa is today, people, don't have kavana either way.
That's good.
What is the point? That is
I've done it many times.
Oh, so they have someone who's done Havinenu. So you know about Peh?
Yeah.
Oh, did you say the Nusach of the Rambam?
No, different also.
Which Nusach which is mentioned in Shulchan
I
Aruch?
don't either from the Yerushalmi or from the Goldie.
Good.
So, since Kavanah is not on its height, so it's not such a heter necessarily. Like similar mol, there are different dinim. Someone comes back from a trip, was very tiresome. First 3 days you can't concentrate properly. You're not supposed to daven. It's a chassan doesn't daven because the chasana, he's potter from Kriya Shema and everything because he's very busy about thinking about the kala and the chasana. Today it's not that way. We don't say that. We say that, people don't have as much kavanah anyway. So we're not going to say that the lack of kavanah. You're going to push it off to another time. Oh, then you're going to have the real kavanah. Not necessarily. So, but it's important to know the dinim and to learn the halachas. However, you cannot always say havinenu. Not an entire year. You're not allowed to say daven havinenu during the winter time. Because you need to say v'sein tal umata lavracha in Birchas Hashanim. And
why can't that incorporate it
that's a
in
good
the
question.
Havineni?
So we'll see that.
Could that easily be done?
That will be in the parentheses, the reasoning.
Oh, all right.
So because we cannot say the same tal umata lavracha and havinenu, for reason which we'll soon see.
Yeah.
Therefore, we cannot say this during the winter time, meaning from after Sukkot, after Shmini Atzeres, until Pesach. So already half the year is already gone for Havinenu. Furthermore, Shabbos v'Yom you can't say that on Matzah Shabbos or Yom Tiv. Shabbos and Yom Tiv, by the way, a person isn't traveling, so there's no Havinenu anyways. And even Matzah Shabbos v'Yom Tiv, you need to say Havdalah and Chenadas, and that as well cannot be inserted into Havinenu for reasons that will soon be explained. So it comes out that already a lot of the year one cannot use Havinenu. The whole winter you cannot use Havinenu. Shabbos and Yom Tov anyways you don't say Havinenu because it's Shabbos, you're not traveling. Moitzoi Shabbos and Moitzoi Yom Tov you can't say Havinenu.
So
now the parentheses, why taka can't we insert the same talamat levrach and atach and antanu into the Havdalah, into the Havinenu? Well, what's the issue? Ve'ein le'koilulam b'Havinenu in the parentheses. The Alter Rebbe explains one cannot include them in Havinenu. Loimer b'me'ein Havdalah, say something similar to Havdalah. V'she'ela, or similar to asking for a short version of asking for the rain. They never were independent brachas in Shemon Esrei. Chazal were included them in the brachas. She'ela is included in Bebirchas Hashem and Baruch Aleinu. Havdalah is included in Berchas Chen and Hadas. There has to be differentiation between something which is a bracha and something which is not a bracha. Atochen Antanul is not a bracha for itself. It's put into Atochen and Das. It's part of the bracha of Chen and Hadas. As well, She'ela v'sein talamat bracha during the winter time, Meisak Sham, is not an independent bracha. It's included in a pre-existing bracha, Baruch Aleinu. Shem Sheben Shar land, and He should give us rain. We daven in the winter, we add it in. The connection between Havdalah with the Atochel and Das, the Gemara explains, because if you don't have wisdom, how could you make differentiations Havdalah? The whole concept of Havdalah is that we differentiate between holiness and impurity, light and dark. These things are refined concepts to realize what's Kedusha, what's Klippa. You need to have Das. You need to have Seichel. And therefore, the concept of Havdalah is in the bracha of haDerech and Das. So now, if we were to put these things into Havinenu, would come out that we're treating them like they're their own bracha, because they're one and the same. Because there is no bracha baruch aleinu. We don't say the bracha baruch l'shanim. The baruch l'shanim is 2-3 words. We don't say a bracha haDerech and Das. It's like 2-3 words. Havinenu Hashem l'das v's'terechecha. That's it. So we're not able to include it within those brachas like we originally did. So what would we have to do in the Havinenu? We would have to put them in independently. Then it would seem like they have their own brachas and their own merit. It's not so.
That's not so.
It's not so, and you can't have them in the equivalent to the 18 brachas. The 18, 19 brachas, the 13 middle brachas, the Shemona Esrei, they're brachas on their own. Here you're going to treat the same Talamat L'Bracha on haDerech and Das as their own, as if they're their own independent brachas. There's no differentiation between an actual bracha and an insertion in a bracha, an insert in a bracha. In the Ma'aser, the Alter Rebbe over here has a note that we should look into his Kuntas Achen. He wrote in certain parts of Shulchan Aruch, he wrote to further in-depth learning on the bottom. He wrote pull him in discussions and to explain why he passed in certain things inside the Shulchan Aruch. Many parts of the Alter Rebbe. Over here it says to be ma'ayin in the Kuntas Achen, but there isn't any. We don't have it. It's missing. There are a lot of parts of the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch that are missing. So we're missing this specific Kuntas Achen is missing. That's not as common. Usually when we're missing like a whole siman. So there are certain simanim which are missing. We're missing a lot of the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch is missing. We're missing. We don't have on Ibn Ezer. We don't have on parts of Shulchan Aruch. We have most of Erech Chaim, but we're missing parts of Erech Chaim. We're missing Hilchos. We don't have Hilchos Chol Hamoed.
How did it get lost? How did it get lost?
There were not clear, but there were many fires in those days. Shtetach was just gobbled fire, flames, and things were burnt. And there was a famous story that the Alter Rebbe had a certain sefer that he wrote for himself, like a Hasidic work, but it was very private for himself. He didn't want anyone looking at it. So he wrote on it. He bound it not only on one side, he bound it on the other side too. So it was bound. You can't. And he wrote on it that anyone who opens this to take a look at it, there's a tradition. There's such a story. And after the Babich Rebbeim said over the story, but Chassidim said over such a story. You look at Rabbi Zevin's stories of Chassidic tales in art schools, published by Art School, has a story there. And he wrote on it that anyone who opens this up is in Chayim of this world and the next world. He didn't want anyone looking at it.
Whoa.
And his Lamaisa, there was a fire in the village and it got burned.
It burnt anyways.
The Alter Rebbe was very upset about this, that this was burnt. So he came to his son and he said, maybe you made copies of it. You saw it? He said, no.
Mm-hmm.
He said, you wrote on it.
Don't touch.
He said,
Don't touch
maybe
it.
you looked at it. You remember something of what I wrote.
Forgot, probably.
I wrote, no, I didn't look at it. I was afraid to look at it. So the Alter Rebbe was crying. He said, where's the Mesiras Nefesh for Chassidus? He should have had Mesiras Nefesh. What will be with your Elam Haba? You need. That's what he told the son, who was later on the next Rebbe. You need to have the Torah. There was a chassid in the yeshiva in Lubavitch, the original yeshiva in Lubavitch, in the village of Lubavitch. So the yeshiva, a lot of bachrim there, and there was such a concept called, like an under the table concept called a chassidish geneva. If the Rebbe had a certain thing that ksav yad, someone saw it and he copied it. It wasn't like considered like you weren't like considered like the regular ganif. You were considered like a chassidish ganif. So anyways, the Rebbe. There was one of the Bachrim, later on became known as a chassid Rebbe Avram Paris, very staunch chassid of the Rebbe Shab, as a Bacher, the Frierdiker Rebbe, and the Rebbe as well, and the recent Rebbe, and the Rebbe Avram Paris. He has many great-grandchildren, and he has many grandchildren who are alive, and great-grandchildren. So he was there as a Bacher, and they knew that the Rebbe had what was notes on the Rebbe Rashab and Lubavitch had notes on a mimer of the Alter Rebbe in Likutei Torah. The Alter Rebbe in Likutei Torah has Parashas Vayera. He has a famous mimer Pasach Eliyahu on the words of the Zohar. Pasach Eliyahu, what Eliyahu and Avi said, Hantu Ilah, Koilah, and it's a whole deep piece from Zohar, which is said. A lot of Kehillas say it on Erev Shabbos. Chassidish Kehillas, they say the shtickle. So the Alter Rebbe has an explanation in his Likutei Torah on this piece. Now, his Einikol, his great grandchild, the Rebbe Rashab, wrote for himself privately notes on this. Notes on his Elta Zaydas, explaining his Elta Zaydas beer. And Chassidim knew, it was like a quiet thing, that Chassidim knew that Rebbe Rashab had these notes. And he heard about it, this Bacher, he felt, how could it be that we don't know what the Rebbe Rashab... the Rebbe Rashab never said anything that it's a chayrim or anything like that, but it was a private thing. So he went, and he found a time when no one was there, and he went in, he snuck in, and he copied it. And those days there was copies, and they copied from one to another, and that's how it got around. They didn't each have a copy machine and a printing press. So we now each one of us has our own printing press in the house. So he had a. So anyways, Vilpoil, he got a knas. He got a penalty. He wasn't allowed to come to eat in the yeshiva for a few days. It was a penalty those days. So he got a knas, and it was later on, many years later. The Rebbe Rashab was in Stalik, his son the Frierdiker Rebbe was in Stalik, and came this Rebbe. And I think Rebbe Avraham Pariz, the man in the story, was also, I think, already was nifter by that time. This is in maybe 69, 68. And his grandson, so Rebbe Avraham Pariz, his grandson was grandchild and another individual. They were learning in 770 in yeshiva. And they were very interested to know certain things, what the Rebbe is doing in his room, and what's the Rebbe up to. They wanna, they were, so they made a secret tape of something. The Rebbe talking privately something, and the Rebbe wasn't happy about it. So he spoke at a Fabrengen and he said, you should be learning and davening. That's what you should be involved with, and not. But he said when he gave Musar. So he said, your Zayda, he said, when he did it, he really wanted to learn Chassidus. So he couldn't live without it. That was his whole life, and they really felt that they can't go, the Rebbe has something. But you're stam sitting around, and you don't have what to do with yourself. It's not coming from this great. So then, at that time, okay, the yeshiva gave him a knas, but it was considered something like, wasn't considered a bad thing. It was a sort of like a heroic act, but that's not the way I'm viewing your act now, It's not something you can copy. Anyways, so Lamaisa, how did we get into this? I don't even remember now. To play back the video.
No.
How do we get from Harinenu here? Oh, so Lamaisa, we were saying that there were certain fires that, and therefore certain things were missing, and we're missing things. There was one time a goy came to 770, 40 years ago, and he offered to sell Lubavitch a sefer, and the sefer was one of the Rishonim, one of the late Rishonim, and it had on it notes from the Alter Rebbe on the side. It had a few notes, handwritten. The Alter Rebbe's Ksavet Kodesh was from his personal library. Where the person got it from, he didn't want to say anything like that. But it was bought, and it's in the library today. Yeah, it's in the library, and those notes were reprinted. In the back of the last chelik of the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, they wrote those few notes that were there.
I never heard this before.
Yeah, you could even see a picture of the. There's pictures around to see.
Next time I got to Lubavitch when I was living to short.
Yeah, but you could see I don't think he'll take it out and show you the original, but you could see the copy of it. You could see another. Yeah, it was printed once. Yeah, a few notes. Now, actually, the library in Russia, the Russians don't want to give up the library that they have from the Lubavitch library in Russia. They found some type of shtick where they said they don't want to allow it out of Russia. They're going to allow it at Lubavitch in Russia, They relocated the library into the building of Lubavitch in Russia. Lubavitch has there a Moscow as a big museum, and they said, so the prime minister decided that he's going to move it over there. So it still belongs to the Russian government, and the librarians are there, but he wanted that Lubavitch should not be upset about it anymore. So this way he'll transfer it there, and it's sort of like, it's there but it's not there. So Lamaisa, they started...
Could they look at it there? Are they allowed to look at it?
They have librarians there. You can look at it. It doesn't. Not Lubavitch doesn't have control over it, but it's housed there, and they have the librarians. Yes, you can go in there and ask to see things. You can't take anything out.
Well, you
Now,
can't copy it.
well, one of the big thing was they did now is they themselves, maybe the influence of Lubavitch there, I don't know, but they themselves have started to, not started. They really way into putting everything online, and they have a Russian website. The Russian website where they put everything on of Lubavitch, and there are many things that belong to the Chabad Rebbeim that are sitting there, personal libraries and Svarim that were passed down from all generations. Let's say the Tzemach Tzedek, the grandson of the Baal Tanya, his Svarim are there, and they're putting up PDFs online, and people are now looking it up, and suddenly they're seeing, wow, the Tzemach Tzedek, while he was learning the Sefer, he was writing notes for himself. And now we have some of these notes that no one ever knew about. And they're putting them online, and people can go. A siddur of the Rebbe, where he made different notes on his siddur, different things that are just there. You can go there and ask them to see it, and they'll let you hold it and look at it, but you can't leave. So, there is Lubavitch groups that were always involved in bringing the library that the Rebbe had authorized to be at the library. They still say that this is not enough. The library has to come back here to where the Rebbe wanted, in the library in Crown Heights, an official library. That's where it's supposed to be united with the original library. But at this point, it's a little bit of a stalemate. The Russians did not want to allow it out, even though there was court cases here in America, and the Russians had. There was a lot of coverage on it. There was they came with lawyers and everything. In the ending, they lost, and they had to give back the library, but they're not. Officially, legally, the courts in the United States have the right to seize property that Russia or the Ministry of Culture owns in the United States, but the United States is not really looking to do it. It's going to make a big issue, so it's sort of like a stalemate. It's not really moving.
Why is the Russian government so interested in Judaic stuff? I don't understand it. The biggest anti-Semitic.
Not only that, they claim they make it like they have a nice name for the Geneva. They call it's a national treasure. So the people's private items become a national treasure. The issue with Russia really seems to be
why are they so interested?
Because they're worried it's going to open up a floodgate of a lot of the stuff is stolen. The communists went and they took over the country, different places, and they stole people's private libraries and private art collections, and they're scared that the nationalists there don't want that.
Once you start with this, they'll start with the other, with the good stuff.
The nationalists don't want anything leaving Russia. It's all ours, and it's all our stuff. But even the ones that are not as strong, but they're worried that there's going to be this type of backlash. They're going to lose a lot, so they don't want to. So
But they're going to lose on the other Genevas.
There was different times in history where they were showing some goodwill. There was times when maybe they gave a book to Al Gore, and there were different presidents and everything. Lubavitch is trying for many, many years to get this farm out. Since the Rebbe sent originally in 1988, was the first time the Rebbe sent four people in a group. They should go there and they should search committee to find out where the Svarim were. No one even knew where they were. Which library, where were they located? What happened to it since the Friedrich Rebbe left Warsaw? During the Nazi were bombarding Russia, what happened was there was actually two sets of libraries. There were two different libraries that were left in Russia. There was when the Rebbe Rashab he ran away from the Germans during World War I. He ran away from Lubavitch and he went to the south to Rostov to go away from the war front. And at that point, he sent his library to Moscow to be in a storage place where you pay for storage.
Yeah.
And there was that library, and there was an additional library that was lost. Was when the previous Rebbe, the Friedrich Rebbe, when the World War II broke out, he took his library and put it in the United States Embassy in Warsaw. and he felt that there would be protected. So the United States, he got permission. The embassy took it into the embassy. Embassies are, territory that's
International.
you can't go. But the Germans didn't really respect those rules, so it
Went in
wasn't
that
really
way.
a big deal for them, those
They
rules.
tough with it.
So the Maisa was that when the previous Rebbe left and he had to escape, he took with him a few suitcases. And one big suitcase with all the manuscripts, the handwritten manuscripts. He had a big suitcase which is still in the Friedegeber's apartment there. I haven't seen it, but there's pictures of it, and people who go up, there are sometimes people that go for a tour. It's still there. They had the original suitcase that he brought with him. And wherever they went, they never went, the Rebbes never went without the suitcase with them. They had all the family treasures, not the Svarim themselves, but all the manuscripts that they wrote in that. So he brought that with him. But all the Svarim, he couldn't take all these thousands of thousands. He amassed a huge library.
Oh, yeah.
He was a big collector. He bought after he couldn't get access to his father's library, but he went and amassed his own collection, and he would buy from people their own collection, and he was and he was all stored in the United States Embassy. He put it in boxes there, and he put it away there, and he had to escape out of Warsaw. It was a whole story how he escaped. It was the Germans themselves secretly, certain elements of the German government helped him escape under a lot of pressure. After the war, the Rebbe tried to find out where his library is. The Germans had taken the library. Later on, when the Russians conquered the Germans, they took the library. Where the library was, no one knew where the library was.
Even today?
Till 1988, when the Rebbe sent them on a mission to go and find the library. And that's when they started doing research. I'm not sure at what point. And then in 1992, the Rebbe sent them again on a group to go. And at that point, they discovered where these two libraries were. One was in one place, and I think the previous Rebbes they found, it was in a library. One of the Russian libraries had it there. It was 12,000 books there, and there was the other library they found only later. They only found it much later. There was another library in Moscow that had it, and no one knew about it. It was sitting in another library somewhere. So that's when they tried to get out the Svarim. So there was a trickle of a few books here and there that, through different pressure, came out. The Russians tried to show, yes, we're going to start giving it out. They gave here a little bit here and there. They gave the United States, different presidents, vice presidents went to visit. They said, goodwill, they're giving something. We're going to eventually give it out. But Maisa, nothing doing. So Ad Hayem Hazeh, it's still
How about giving them
sitting
money?
there. But Baruch Hashem, now things are a little better and there's more access. And there is now online. They're really putting everything online.
That's good.
Yes, so there's now an ability to there are Svarim being reprinted by Lubavitch Publishing House in Crown Heights. Kahas is republishing certain things based on manuscripts now that we see as
being
online
PDFs.
manuscripts. We see we can correct things, we can fix and see things, and things we didn't know about that are now there.
Shmulik, maybe it wasn't the list that Netanyahu has to give to the Russian government.
Putin.
When Putin, yeah?
No.
No? He has a big list.
Israeli Chabad asked him to do it.
Yeah.
He didn't do it. The shliach from California who got shot with his finger. No.
Goldstein.
Goldstein.
No, Goldstein. So when he was invited to his office, so he said, "What can I do for you?" So he said, "Do me a favor. Pick up the phone and call Putin and tell him send all the books to Chabad."
Yeah.
He said, "Well,
Oh, yeah.
I'll see what I can do about it." He didn't want to.
Okay, we're going off on a tangent. Siv Beis. Hapoilim she'oisim malacha
It's about
it's a balabayis. By the way, the library, the books were also not well kept, and they were just sitting there in the library there without.
maintaining.
Yeah, it was not. Now the situation is much better. There wasn't proper cataloging, and it's hapoilim she'oisim malacha it's a balabayis. Workers that are doing work for their boss. An employer, if he only just gives them food, if his payment is that I provide food for you, then they're allowed to daven a full 18 brachas on the work job. because he doesn't pay them. He only gives them food to eat. Avol ein yardum fe'ateva. They don't have a chazaras hashatz. Ve'noisa kapeim, and they don't do birchas koyanim. Shembito malach shabayis, because you're working for someone, and you can't take away from his money. You're stealing his time. Ve'noisam schar pulasam levad sudasam. Sichelamar hamalacha maspal me'in yichas. If he gives them money, pays them not only for their food, but he pays them a salary, like today is common. Therefore, then they have to finish up the work quickly to get back. So you can't daven if you don't have a lunch break. Like in America, you have a lunch break and a break to go do things. So then mispal mein yiches, you could also daven having nenu. La'achshav, nowadays in derech balabayis l'hapeh b'kach, the balabayis, the employers are not makbid on this. These Yidden who are hiring their employees, they must probably, since that the common practice is not for them to be strict about this, so when someone enters into a contract, it's assumed that he's hiring you a monastic, you're allowed to daven a full Shemoneh Esrei. Not only that, as well, you'll be allowed to go to the shul, not only to daven in your workplace, but you're allowed to go to a shul in order to be able to daven with a minyan, if you don't have 10 with you in your workplace. In those places, that it's normal for the Balbatim not to be makbid, so your employer can't either ask you not to do this, because assume when you came into the business that he was allowed to do that. Because that's the assumption. The chazaka is that the Balbatim in that area do allow their employees to go to shul to daven. So his balabais can't say I'm different unless he made a clear stipulation before he hired them. Once he hired them already, the assumption was the worker assumed that you're like everyone else here in this area that's not makbid. Siv Gimel. Hahoylech b'mokim gedudei chayev listim. Someone goes to a place where there are wild animals and robbers. Mispalo tefila k'tzoreh. He davens a short davening. It is shorter than Havinenu. Shu tzorechei amcha merubim v'choysim v'shemea tefila. Your necessities of your nation are many, and there seems to be some more words there, etc. And v'choysim, he concludes like Baruch Hashem Shemea.
Not Havineni, isn't it?
No, something different, even shorter. And you don't say the 3 first brachas and 3 last brachas. And you're allowed to say it while you're walking. And if you could stand in the jungle, you're able to stand there, and you're not nervous. You could stand. And you could stand. One arrived in a settlement where he's not nervous. There's no issue of wild animals and list them. There's bar daite, and now he calmed down. He could focus on davening. So he needs to now re-daven and daven appropriate, not like Havinenu. Havinenu, we said once you daven Havinenu, you don't repeat it again later on when you come to a Makom Yishuv. But this tefillah ketzar tzarchei amcha merubim, which you didn't say the first 3 and the 3 last. So this one you have to re-daven im loy avras mana. If the time did not yet pass, if it's already now after not Shachar's time or not Minchas time, you can't daven that tefillah, you lost it. It wasn't your fault, but you can't daven anymore. Moment. Even though you already davened standing a short tefillah, since you did not say even a me'ein ches, min havinenu, which has a short version of all the 18 brachas, you have to say it again, Shemoneh Esrei. If one forgot or the time passed, Dinei keshachach l'yispal l'gamish l'hashim is not tefillah shachra. If you forgot and you didn't daven a proper Shemoneh Esrei and you arrived in the Makom Yishuv, it's as if you forgot a tefillah and you have to daven the next tefillah twice. Like, right? The same thing is if you arrived in the city, in the settlement, and it's already after the time that you can daven anymore, so you can make it up by the next tefillah.
What do you need to do to these tefillah ketzaras? It's makom sekon. The person's suffering because nefesh should be part of the gamin.
So it's not, it's not like any clear. How do you define Suffolk? You're in a forest, you're in a jungle. I mean, how common
This
is
is
it
what
that
This is not the Koch Nefesh over there.
it's not clear, but if he sees the robber, obviously you don't daven. You daven at the robber. You should get escape from the robber. You better start davening.
So you mean to say if I go to East New York, this is what I should do, right? That's what you say.
To Harlem.
Or to Harlem. So that's what that's what this place is. That's a scenario.
Right. Yeah, that's a good example.
Oh.
Be careful, Rob.
Now, I relate to that.
There's a video camera. You have to be careful.
You got to be politically
Today
correct.
in the three Pokim Rambam, you're learning about Chashma. Today in the Rambam, the three Pokim, we're talking about Chashma, and the Rambam talking about which davening you have to, which davening you don't have to.
Oh, yeah.
It's today the three Pokim.
I'm looking to see where the nusach for the Tefillah Ketzara is.
For the
not today,
sisters.
not today.
I see where Havinenu is, but where does the Rambam bring the Tefillah Ketzara if someone comes to a place of Chayis?
Like for the woman.
Maybe if you're in the safari, you're traveling the safari in South Africa or
Like
somewhere.
Tefilas haDerech.
Till Sterk won't help you.
And the safari.
Tefillah Ksara, is that the woman saying Tefillah Ksara?
The animals
No,
are like,
the animals in the safari
Yes,
in Africa, they don't bite people
no.
Maybe
The
that's
children,
How
B'richa,
come?
Mana,
because
Lakana.
they have like a jeep,
Oh, with the Jeep.
All the time.
I'm talking about if you're walking on foot and in a wild...
forget
maybe
it.
for
You're not
children,
gonna make
maybe.
it walk.
They kill you, the animals. Well, you're in the Jeep, you're protected. They can't
No,
do
but the
that.
jeep is open.
Yeah.
The tiger could jump on the jeep.
Oh, they could?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
You have many times a picture the tiger jump on the roof
Oh, yeah.
and it's open.
So why doesn't why didn't the tiger jump on the...
Because when they're hungry, they eat the animals, not human.
They have no appetite for a human.
Somehow, they wish they make it.
They don't like the blood.
What?
They don't like the blood of the...
Well, once in a while, the animals in the safari will
Attack a person, yeah, it happened, but
Yeah.
usually not.
Very rare.
Yeah. You could drive with the jeep like 2 meters from a lion, a live
Yeah.
lion, big, huge one,
Yeah.
And he
Yeah.
won't look at you.
No, he look at you this, but
Yeah.
he don't bite you.
It won't-
Here, the Lashon is, the Rambam has the Lashon.
Let me hear.
Lashon is Tzorchei Amchi Yisrael Merubim. The necessities of your nation, Israel, are many. B'dait and Ksora, however their minds are...
We're saying it in Slichas,
The
huh?
minds are not big. Vihi ratzu v'fanecha she Hashem Elokeinu shetitin l'chol echad ve'echad kedei parnasasi. Should give everyone his enough for his parnasa. L'chol gviya for every person dei machsoira, whatever they need. V'hatoi ba'necha say you should do what's good in your eyes. Baruch atah Hashem shemei tefillah.
I think we sang it in Rosh Hashanah or Slichas.
Well, the beginning we say the first few words we say in slichas we say.
Slichas, like.
But we say a little different. Merubin Sarchei Yamcho V'daiton
What's
Ketzara.
Menochem?
Yeah, this very soon we'll be saying it, but not the Hemshech. Siv Dalet. Hayoyse haDerech. Someone who goes on a trip, tzarich l'spalel Tefilas haDerech, say Tefilas haDerech, which is Shehi Yiratze V'nech Hashem Elokeinu Elokeinu
So, Kenu,
Shetoilicheinu
the Shalom.
Shel Shalom. V'chulu and the rest. And the Siddur had the Nusach is in the Siddur. It's not going to tell you the Nusach. Now, the word it says is Shetoilicheinu L'Shalim, not B'Shalim. The Magen Avraham points out, I think maybe the Alter Rebbe says it later on, that we don't say, there's a difference in peace and to peace. The Gemara in the ending of Moed Katan points out, and I think the ending of Brachis, that Avshalom, David HaMelech told Avshalom, Leich Bishalom. And what ended up with Avshalom? He went, he's here, got stuck,
caught him.
right? And they caught him. So,
What's the difference?
in general, we say that by a living person, should use a lamed, Lishalom. By someone who's passed away, we use Bishalim. Person go in peace. Why? Because there's different mafarshim, but the Maharsha explains that going to peace means that you still have journey in life. A living person has more journeys in life, and things what to do, missions to accomplish. So you say go to peace. You should go to peace.
Lishal.
Should be peaceful your journeys. However, someone who's embarking the last journey, a mess, so it was the last journey, so there's nothing to tell him that his life, he doesn't have anything more to accomplish that should be peaceful. So the only thing is his last mission he should go in peace. Should be peaceful. Is going up, leaving the world, or going up to Shemayim should be in peace. Go leich bishalim, go in peace, because now he's going. It's finished. So the only last bracha we could say is it should be peace in a peaceful manner. Someone has more what to do, so we say leich lishalim, go towards shalom. You should always meet shalom in your life. Wherever you do, should be in a shalom-dik way. So therefore, also in Tefilas haDerech, we say you should bring us Hashem the shalom towards shalom. Now, v'afim hoylech b'yichidi, even if someone is going on his own on a trip by himself, yoymarna b'lasharam, he should use a plural form when he's saying shetei lichenu, v'sismechenu lishon, all us, should lead us. Why? Shemitoich kach tfilas in ishmas, because it's better lashon davening to say it as a lashon plural form. It's heard better. You're davening not only for yourself. When you daven for other people also, you include yourself with other people, your tefillah will be more heard better. You're not just davening for yourself, you're davening for other people also. If you want to add in at the ending more private bakashas, personal things, you could. And then you can add it in a singular form because you're only asking about your own personal situations. Because this is not part of what Chazal coined for everyone to say, for all to say, so therefore you on that in your own private nusach you could say the way you want. You could say it in a singular form also. There are those that say shall pi hasoy, that based on Kabbalah. Yishloimer milas v'sineni l'chein meloshin yochid. Even during the actual part that Chazal were keveya everyone to read, there's one word we say in a singular form, loshin yochid, and that's here in the Shulchan Aruch it says v'sineni, and the Siddur it says v'sitneni. And that's taka our nusach. It says v'sitneni. You should give me. So maybe you should give me. It's in a singular form. Even the entire tefillah is lashon rabbim. So this doesn't make sense seemingly. Api diktuk. However, this is based according to Kabbalah. This is something api Kabbalah. This word should be said in a singular manner. And that's over here. The Alter Rebbe says in a parentheses v'yeshim she'omer. There are some that say in the Sefer Hakana, one of the early works of Kabbalah, attributed to Chunya ben Hakana, one of the Tanoim, who had a Sefer. He's the one who made the Tefillah on the B'choyach that we say with the on the B'choyach, Dulas Mincha Tatit Tzrura, attributed to Chunya ben Hakana, and he wrote a Sefer of Kabbalah, Sefer Hakana. We have very little from him in Nigla, in Gemara. We have very little from him. So his mainly was a Makubal. We do find a little bit in Shas, some dinim from him. But mainly his field was in Kabbalah. So over here it just says in a parentheses, but in the Sefer in Chabad the meaning is that this way, that everyone does it this way. It's neini, like the Inyan Pi Kabbalah.
I remember my grandfather came from Galiciana background, and he used to say Elokeini as opposed to Elokeinu.
Right, but that really means the same. It's really Elokeinu, which is that they're a dialect.
He actually used to pronounce it tiny.
Yeah, well, you have a lot of people today that do it that way.
The Galiciano, Hungarian.
Right, that's just they're really saying okay,
Yeah.
you.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
they're saying. The Galicianos.
Yeah.
That in Krakow, in southern Poland. Babish is Litvish.
Yeah,
So Litvish Chasidis, right?
yeah, Babish Litvish Chasidus.
Litvish Chasidis. I see what
we
you
are the real Litvak.
What?
We are the real Litvak.
You what?
Litvak.
Litvak.
Yeah, Babish
were coming,
Chassidim were
you
living
were
near
The Balatanya.
The Litvak.
in Litva. They were living in the same areas. That's where there's a lot of in the early years. There's lots more tension because they were living close to each other. Much more in the cities were much more closer. But a lot of things from Lita. Let's just finish up the Sif. Al pi halacha, one is allowed to say Tfilas haDerech even when you're walking. Ella mishum yois toiv al tikira. However, just a person should do something in a better manner. Why do something if you walking when you could do it standing? If it's possible for you that you could stand when you say it, stand. What happens if the group that in those days people would go through the travel together with a shayara with a caravan? It was dangerous to go
By yourself.
Sure. So there wasn't highway patrols. So
The banditos.
you had to wait. If they're going to wait, they're there anyway. Stopping, you should say it standing. You only have to stop from walking. However, if you were
Wagon.
riding, you don't need to get off. You can stop the behemoth from walking. If it's possible. Because if you're riding, it's as if you're walking.
Oh, I see.
If one is sitting in a wagon, if it's possible to stop
the horses.
the horses. And that, by the way, you should know that the Rebbe himself, who rarely traveled out to a place that he didn't say Tfilas haDerech, it was only, I think, 3 times since he became Rebbe that he went in a Makom, he could say Tfilas haDerech, he went upstate to visit the camp,
Oh,
Gan Yisrael, in the 50s and the late 50s. 1956. And when he had the car stop on the side. This Ingen, he wanted the car should stop.
We didn't get out.
Shouldn't.
No,
To
this
be yois toiv.
Saying it and continue.
He was standing outside the car.
Yeah, he got out of the car actually.
Oh,
he got out to
get
stay
out,
standing.
stand.
He wanted to stay standing, and it says here Yamoid.
Stop the car, went outside
to stand. Yeah, it's a hiddur. It's a hiddur. So he stood up and he said it standing outside. We'll see Mitzvah Hashem next week a little more. We'll finish up the dinim, some more dinim about Tfilas haDerech.